What if I told you that the secret financial plan used by the wealthiest 1% isn't some brand new app, but it's actually hidden in a text that's, get this, 3,000 years old? I mean, think about it. Right now, something like 78% of people are living paycheck to paycheck, and the answer isn't just to work harder until you burn out. The real solution might just have been written down thousands of years ago.
So, the big question is, could this ancient wisdom really hold a strategic financial guide that's more relevant today than ever before? Well, today we're going to unpack a framework that suggests the answer is a huge, undeniable yes. And the author of this wisdom? None other than King Solomon, a man whose wealth in today's money is estimated to be over $2 trillion. Let that sink in for a second. This isn't just some theory from a modern-day guru. This is a financial philosophy from arguably the single wealthiest person who ever lived. But here's the really fascinating part. These ancient principles, they aren't just historical footnotes. They're being used right now at the highest levels of finance. Seriously, investment firms pay consultants an absolute fortune to teach these exact same concepts. They just slap a new label on it, like strategic financial management. Today, we're cutting out the middleman and going straight to the original source code. So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with the foundation, which is all about your mindset. Then we'll build a practical system on top of that. After that, we'll look at some advanced strategies to really multiply your results. And finally, we'll see how this all leads to what we call freedom by design. All right, first things first, let's talk about the internal framework. Because here's the truth. Before you can even think about managing money, you've got to learn how to manage your mind. And that brings us to principle number 1. Wisdom is the ultimate currency. You know, when Solomon was offered anything he wanted, he didn't ask for gold or armies or power. He asked for wisdom. And you know what happened? He was given all the other stuff too. This totally explains why a staggering 70% of lottery winners go bankrupt in just a few years. They get the money, but they don't have the wisdom to handle it. See, money follows wisdom, and it runs away from foolishness. The second principle is that your mind is either your biggest prison or your greatest palace. A scarcity mindset locks you into this endless cycle of not enough. You feel like a victim. But an abundance mindset, that flips the script. It sees you as a manager, a steward of resources. Just think about two brothers from the same poor background. One gets stuck in that scarcity mindset, and today he's still broke and angry. The other one, he chose abundance. He decided his past wasn't going to define his future. And today, he owns 3 successful businesses. Same starting line, completely different mindset, and a world of different results. All right, so now that we've got that mindset foundation nice and solid, let's build the actual system for managing your finances. This is where all that theory becomes real practical action. Principle 3 is all about creating order. There's this ancient proverb that says you should know the state of your flocks. Now back then, your flocks were literally sheep and goats. Today, your flocks are your bank accounts, your investments, your credit card debt. The point is, you can't manage what you don't measure. Financial chaos pushes away growth because, well, you can't fill a bucket that's riddled with holes. So here's a simple challenge for you. For the next 30 days, track every single dollar you spend. I don't care if you use an app, a spreadsheet, or an old notebook. The tool doesn't matter. Then categorize all that spending into 2 simple buckets, needs and wants. And I gotta tell you, the results are almost always a huge shock. So many people find a massive chunk of their income is just pouring into wants, all while feeling like they can't even afford the essentials. This one simple act of creating order hands the control right back to you. And once you have that order, you can put Principle 4 into action, a disciplined capital allocation model. We'll call it the 10-10-80 rule. You can think of it as an ancient blueprint for modern rules like the 50-30-20 rule. The idea is simple. 10% you give away, 10% you save or invest, and the remaining 80% is for you to live on. Now I know what you're thinking. There is no way I can afford that. But here's the secret. The system doesn't work because you have a surplus of money. The surplus appears because you work the system. It literally forces you to get organized and set your priorities straight. And the 5th principle is the secret weapon that makes this whole thing actually stick: automation. A proverb says, "He who gathers little by little makes it grow." This is all about consistency, which is the engine of long-term compounding growth. You just set up automatic transfers for your giving and saving for the day you get paid before you even have a chance to touch the money. See, willpower is finite. Motivation comes and goes, but systems just run forever. They take emotion and that constant internal debate completely out of the equation.
Okay, so with the foundation poured and the system built, now we can look at the multiplier effect. These are the advanced strategies that will truly accelerate your wealth creation. Principle 6 is all about making principled, high-conviction decisions. In the original text, it's called radical obedience, which basically means trusting a core principle even when it doesn't make logical sense on the surface. For example, think about the entrepreneur who felt this really strong conviction to turn down a $50,000 deal. On paper, it seemed like a crazy move, but just 2 weeks later, he found out the other company was under federal investigation for fraud. His principled decision didn't cost him 50 grand, it saved his entire business. Now, this seventh principle, it completely shatters conventional economic thinking, generosity as a growth strategy. The text says, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. This reframes giving not as an expense, but as an investment. You could even think of it in modern terms as a kind of spiritual impact investing, where your capital is working to generate both financial and non-financial returns. It's a total game changer. And the eighth principle is all about your environment. Your financial future isn't just shaped by what you know, but by who you know. So take a hard, honest look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they assets, challenging you to grow, compounding your value? Or are they liabilities, just affirming your excuses and slowly depreciating your potential? You know what they say, iron sharpens iron. If you surround yourself with dull blades, you're going to become dull too. So let's pull all these principles together and see what the final picture really looks like. So here's the crucial takeaway, the bottom line of this whole thing. Financial freedom is not an accident. It's not a miracle. It is the predictable, logical outcome of a well-designed plan that you execute with consistency. It's freedom, achieved by design. So the principles are all laid out, right? The blueprint is clear. From the mindset to the system to the multipliers, you now have the tools. The only question left is the one for you. Which part of this framework are you going to start building today?